Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Big Money Stylist podcast. I am here. I was going to say live, but podcasts are not live, so that was a lie. But I am here with Skye. She's one of my licensed artists inside of DKW Styling Academy, and she's part of our council group. And anytime I'm doing a class, I try to pull one of them aside and do kind of, I want to hear, I feel like I know everybody, but I don't. Like in council, I've gotten to know a lot more of everybody there. But I feel like I know your story, but I don't know your story. But I do want to talk to you about, because you know how we've been talking about your messaging and where you started. I do actually want to talk about this on this show. So Skye, what's your Instagram handle?
Okay, so my Instagram is Hair by Skye, and it does have the underscores before.
Is your full name Skylar or is it Skye?
Just Skye.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was another thing that we were having a conversation about, because it's so some people will call me Danny, and I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not a Danny. I'm a Danielle. And then Allie's like, my full name is Allison. I'm like, your name is Allison? I'm like, who are you?
Yes, I didn't know that.
So tell me where is your salon located?
So my salon is located in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, perfect. And then you've been in Vegas for a while, haven't you?
Yes, for 16 years.
16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how long have you been behind the chair?
16 years.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. So right when you moved to Vegas, you started doing hair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. And you are married and you have kids. Don't you have kids?
Yes, so I am married and I have one daughter.
One daughter. How old's
She's
your daughter? 2. Oh, fun.
Mhm.
That's a cute age.
Yes.
When's her birthday?
July.
July. Okay, so she's just a little bit older than my little Charlie.
Yes.
I don't remember you pregnant.
I know. Yep, I was.
Oh, I think you must have been really little.
Yes, I was. I had her a little early.
Oh, you did? Okay. I was like,
Mhm.
I don't remember. I don't know. I feel like there's been so many moms in the program that are pregnant and then pop out a baby, and I'm like, it's just
So
it's
fast.
crazy.
It goes by so fast.
So you have been in the industry for 16 years. When did you find Natural Beaded Rows education?
So I found Natural Beaded Row education in 2018. And did you want me to kind of go into my story? Okay. So one of my friends actually was going to do NBR, and she was like, hey, I found this awesome company. I want to go do extensions. Do you want to come with me? And so I was like, oh, let me check into it first. So I did. And then thinking back, I actually lost a client to someone who did NBR.
Oh.
And I did offer extensions, but they were all really crappy methods. So I was like, sure, sign me up. Let's go. And
I feel like it's always the clients when they're like, hey, do you offer this? That makes you kind of be like, oh shoot, am I missing out on something? I feel like that too with Isla hair. A lot of clients have been really looking for Isla hair. So now we have more people coming into education because they want to get access to the hair.
Yes.
So, because I always tell people, I'm like, if you have crappy quality hair, it reflects bad on you as an artist.
It really does.
So you were doing extensions, but not primarily extensions, or a little bit here and there?
Mostly, well, I was doing primarily colors and cuts. So I was doing all the things.
Yeah.
And I loved doing extensions because of the money in it, right?
Yeah.
So when I heard how much I could charge for MBR extensions, I was like, well, yeah, sign me up.
Right.
But that was BMS Con 4.
Oh, okay. What percentage of your business right now is MBR?
I would say 70% of my business.
That's awesome. That's actually really hard to do. I was talking to you, I can't remember who's on my last podcast, but it's really hard to build primarily a business of just Natural Beaded Rows or any extensions. And I think to be good at anything, you have to have a niche. You have to do it all the time.
Yep.
So if you say you're an extension specialist or expert, it's something that you shouldn't have more. You should be doing, at least all the time, every day. And so that's how you become good at something. And so it's extremely hard to do that, because I think as artists we're wired to take every service. It's if you don't take every service, you're losing money.
Yes.
But in the reality, I look at it the exact opposite way of if you just discover your niche and charge for that niche, not only are you making more money, but you're working less and you become really good at that craft. It's if you were to go get I don't have a rhinoplasty, but if I was going to go get a rhinoplasty, I'm not going to go to a guy who does all boob jobs.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense, right?
Yes.
Regardless if he's phenomenal at breast augmentation, I'm like, no, I got to find somebody who's the best at doing faces or noses or whatever it is. So it's crazy. So you actually have a cool story, and I want you to share it a little bit on the podcast if you feel comfortable sharing it.
Yeah, of course.
Because one of the things that we've been working with you on council is discovering your marketing angle or your voice inside the marketplace, right?
Yes.
For me, I started my brand and I was like, shit, I'll just throw myself under the bus. So my story started by saying I have the worst toddler hair. I have fine, crappy hair. I wanted extensions that looked natural, that didn't damage my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And now my voice has kind of evolved to like, yeah, I have crappy hair, but I'm also a mom. I'm a business owner. So those are the women that I attract that I get back in my chair.
Right.
So in a sea of a gazillion different hand-tied schmembiar systems on the marketplace, you have to stand out. And by doing that, you have to really discover who is that target audience that you're really looking to go after. And it has to come from a place of authenticity, of like, hey, this is my experience, this is my path, and then people resonate with that, and then we just happen to give them hair in the process.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your story, because I know it was like part of you were like, who is my niche, or who, not my niche, who is my target audience?
Yeah. So within council, we've been really like niching down on what we want, who we want to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And Garrett gave me the great idea of doing the whole like bottle server thing. And I thought that is a genius idea. So go back in time before NBR, actually during NBR, my first training, I was a bottle server in Las Vegas, and I was building my clientele on the side. I was very successful too at hair, but I just was holding on to that because it was such good money. And I came to a point where I was getting busier behind the chair and all the things. So then we talked about the bottle service and it's like strippers in Vegas and how that's a huge market.
Right.
But then I came to a cross point in like the road where I was like, I'm not feeling authentic to this. So I was like, when you had mentioned, I think on our last council call, you were like, something about the hustler, and that clicked for me because I am a hustler and I relate to people who hustle, and whether that's like your CEO mom or your bottle server that's a hustler, then like that's the girl I want in my chair.
I think that comes through you telling your story, and that's what I wanted to get across. I'm like, you don't necessarily need to go after the bottle service industry, although I wish you would, because a lot of them don't have gray hair.
Exactly.
But that's not necessarily who you're going to attract. But by you sharing your story of like, hey, like I was trying to build up my business and I was trying to hustle and I had to do whatever I had to do to get to where I'm at today. And then I got to a place where like I didn't want to do that anymore. I think that all entrepreneurial women, we go through this phase of you're just like, especially if you have kids in the mix, you're like, I will do whatever I need to do to put food on the table.
Yes.
And you're like, is you almost like didn't identify with this bottle service girl. And I'm like, well, that was a transition. That was a period in your life. That's not who you are. But if you share that story, people will respect that. Especially I like me. I went through multiple phases of my life where like I had to hustle my ass off no matter what it was. Long days, long nights, like midnight, still freaking blogging and doing all this shit. And that's what when you share that story, other women are like, oh, I resonate to that.
Yes.
And so I genuinely believe that that's how you build up that dream clientele is you just start sharing more of like your authentic side of you, and then you'll attract that back into your chair.
Yes, because I was going through that process of like trying so hard to market to these women that I was like, that's a great idea, right? And it still is, and I don't mind marketing to them. But now I'm identifying more as like the hustler. I'm actually attracting more leads because it's actually authentic to me.
Yes, I could see that in your marketing. Like when I would watch you through social media, although it sounded like a good marketing angle, I could sense that it wasn't coming across certain because you felt not like a fraud, but you felt inauthentic in your message.
Correct.
And you can pick that up when with people on their social media. Have you ever been like following somebody and you're like, I just don't resonate with their message?
Yes.
To me, that's why they haven't actually gotten clear with what their message is and who they are. So how has your message evolved and changed recently, and has it affected you getting more leads?
Yes. So it's just shifted, and it relates also to motherhood because I'm a mother. So I've kind of thrown that in the mix of like, hey, you know, if you're like a hustling kind of mom, and in turn, I have attracted an old client back of mine who is a CEO of a hospital, and you know, another like really high powered like real estate gal like who reached out. And so different things like that, just shifting that little bit, I think really hits because it's authentic.
I also think too, when you start putting that out there, you're giving women permission. Like literally, you're like, hey, if you're that hustling mom, like you deserve to feel beautiful. You work hard. You deserve this for yourself. I am also a hustling mother. I have a 2-year-old, and then people are like, hey, if she's got beautiful hair, I don't care if I work at a hospital, I want beautiful hair.
Right.
So it's like this element of when you are authentic, it literally gives people permission. It gets them to buy. I always say MBR is a feeling.
It really is.
It's like you're like having a shitty moment, and I get on your Instagram and you're talking about feeling empowered, and you're like, click the link in my bio. I'm like, you bet your ass I'm clicking that link. I'm like, and I need hair.
I just recently attracted one of my old friends who has always had what's the keratin bonds.
Oh, okay.
And she was sold on them. And I was like, hey, there's a better way. Like, extensions have evolved so much. So then I did also in turn get a mother in my chair because I say, hey, it's so easy, effortless,
lifestyle.
and she loves them. So yeah, just shifting the message.
I always say too, part of selling is solving problems. Not part of it, like primarily.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I often do in my marketing or when I do my consultations is I literally just ask them, what kind of extensions have you had? What did you not like about them? How are they working with your lifestyle? Yep. And then I just let them just sit and talk. People like to hear themselves talk. They really do. They like to feel heard. And then at the end of that, I'm like, oh, I've experienced that and this and this. And then I offer up MBR as the solution.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, wow. It's like it's not even like, I don't even have to close them at that point. I'm like, okay,
sold.
What card do you want to put down your deposit on for these extensions? And they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel connected. And you're also solving a problem, which is like they've tried other systems or whatever it is. And they want to do a beautiful ponytail because they're a busy mom, you know?
And I think also the shift I found in switching, like you guys have told us to find like that like niche or whatever, is that my leads are now more authentic leads that are already like warm leads. And so I don't really have to sell them much. Exactly. They're really like sold coming to me.
Right.
And so pricing doesn't matter for them.
Yeah, they're literally like, that's kind of how I am too. Like once I find something that I like, it's almost like a secondary question. I'm like, oh, and shit, how much is this? Like,
like I really want it. Okay, fine.
I'm like, I should know what I'm actually paying for this. Like, unless it's like some crazy amount, I'm like, I was already expecting to pay a lot, right?
Yes.
When you find somebody who positions themselves very well, you go in with the mindset of like, I know it's not going to be $1,000 service.
Right.
You're not communicating a message like, hey, I want to give you a Groupon or a wheel and deal. You're communicating a message of like, these are luxury hair extensions. So people come in anticipating paying a lot. If I go into Chanel, I know I don't walk out for less than $5,000.
Right.
Right. I'm not going to say, hey, can you give this to me for 500? They're going to be like, do you know you're in Chanel? Okay. That's fun. Get out. Like,
we're done.
They're like, no, it's 5,000. I'm like, are you sure? What about now? So I think when you set that presence inside of your brand and your communication, it's less of selling and more of, again, offering a solution to people and giving them a phenomenal product.
Right.
So what's been I'm glad that you've had that like breakthrough just recently.
Yeah.
Because I felt like we'd been working on that for so long, and I could sense there was something like a little bit off. But I think the more you start to discover who you are in your own voice, marketing just gets fun.
Yeah.
It just gets fun because you feel like you're just being you, and people are like, I like you. And you're like, perfect.
Because like you guys always teach us, like they're buying into us first, right? The product is just like the bonus.
Right.
So yeah, just shifting that little thing has really made a huge difference.
Yeah. I think what I love about doing hair is, and I'm sure you're the same way, it's like we genuinely love like impacting people's lives, and it just happens to be through giving them great hair.
Yeah. And so we're just naturally good at it.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
So it works out good. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. I know it was kind of a short one because we're actually in the middle of our training. Yes. But I was like, I'm going to snag a few of my girls and we'll do a quick podcast. I love hearing like more of the story, and I want you guys to have the opportunity to kind of share and use this podcast also to get more qualified leads in your chair and that kind of thing. So I know you're gonna do amazing. Are you moving on with us next year?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, I'm
perfect.
moving forward.
You're moving forward.
Yes.
I feel like it'll be a smooth transition, and I'm actually really looking forward to next year because so much has changed within my company, and I always say you can do it alone or you can collaborate with other people and go further faster together. Yep. So I love being in this space of like, it's not competition anymore, it's collaboration, and I love that. So
I love it.
So thank you so much for being on the podcast. And you guys, if you are interested in Natural Beaded Rows education, go to mbr.education. You can see all of the offers that we have available there. If you love this podcast, if you found it impactful for you, share it with your friend and come join my community of artists that are really looking to make a difference in the hair community. All right, you guys, we'll see you next week on another episode of the Big Money Stylist podcast.